Hello, gorgeous people. How are you doing? Well, today I'm talking about what's coming, something big, and what the hell would it be? I'll tell you all about it on the other side. So look, we're not stupid. We see patterns. I see patterns, you see patterns. And what we see is that there's some big elections coming up. And especially in the US. And interestingly, from the last video or the couple of videos back, when I was asking whether you were going to vote, I got some really interesting responses. And a few responses were, look, here in the US, we have no option. We've got to get Mr. T back in. And I understand that completely. And we know that the last time that he got in, they had to ruin it, did they not? They had to do something drastic. I'm hearing a lot of rumblings, a lot of stuff going on about aliens. It could be possible. It just could that the alien invasion will happen. Only from what I'm hearing. And there are two things that I'm hearing. One is that the people who talk about aliens are saying, oh my goodness, it's going to be a false flag. I'll say that like that so it doesn't get picked up. A false flag, okay, of like terrestrial, the ones who live underground, who really don't exist, but they've been invented and cloned. And I mean, this was in an alternative channel that's really quite respected. And yet they were talking about these cloned aliens that were going to come and start attacking, and they would have to, well, whatever. The thing is, it's not far-fetched. They've been kind of seeding this idea for ages. And then you hear people like Tuer, Carlson, and he's kind of making reference to, I know that these things exist. I don't want to talk about them. Right? I know that these beings exist and I don't want to talk about them. Now, the way I see it is this. Tuer Carlson has to get his information from people. He's a journalist. He talks to people and they tell him stuff. So it wouldn't be surprising if he's being channeled information by people who have been told to channel him information. Just like all of the people are being told, given information that then they kind of say, well, here it is, but I don't want to talk about it. And yet it's there. And everybody's talking about Tuer not wanting to talk about those kind of beings. So I think what we've got is seeding of the alien invasion narrative. Whether it's going to happen or not, I don't know. I mean, I tell you what was really interesting. Talk about covert messages. I listened to Mr. T in a speech, and he said, so I'm talking to the enemies now. I'm talking to our enemies in this 5-month window, which is leading up. Do not mess with us. Okay? Now, I'm not big into this, gematria and reading underneath, messages that he said this, but what he really meant was this, and his name actually, combines into God and stuff like that. But there was a very clear message. In this 5-month window, to our enemies, do not mess with us. What that means is, they've got a mess plan. They've got a messy up plan. And he's saying, don't do it. Okay? That's kind of the way that I read it. I might be wrong, but I just get the feeling there are too many things happening. At the moment in France, it looks like, another party that would be very surprising to get in is going to get in. In the UK, reform's going crazy. In the US, well, isn't it interesting that the election debate, right, went really badly? Is that a surprise? Not to us, no. It was never going to go well. How could it? And if you actually juxtapose the image of Biden in the last debate, he was quite sharp. He was all right. And then Biden in this debate, they are different Bidens. Is that any surprise? No, neither. We've talked about that before. But they're different folk. But the issue that I've got is that, everybody has known about Biden's decline, or that particular Biden, the man who professes to be, that decline. Right, so just, this is the way my mind works. If he has been put there by them as a double, why haven't they not picked somebody who is capable of speaking? Or the person that they put there on purpose, does he act and play that role of being stupid? Okay, so either, it's the only option, isn't it? If they've put somebody there, then he must be acting stupid, because they wouldn't just put somebody who was, well, actually, we're going to put you in as the president of the United States. They wouldn't do that. They've got to put somebody there who's going to make an arse of it. So they've got to have another plan. So clearly, Biden isn't the one that they want to run for president. And lots of people have got lots of ideas, but it just wouldn't make sense, you know. And isn't it interesting as well that the liberal media now suddenly has turned on Biden, and yet before that nobody would recognise that he was a dipshit. Nobody would, you know, he's absolutely crystal clear, he's lovely, he's wonderful, and now they're all going, oh my God, that was a train wreck. Oh my God, that was dreadful. Why now? Why just now? When he's been doing it weird, I mean, shit in his pants. He wasn't, he was going for his chair. He thought there was a chair behind him. He went to sit down, realised that there wasn't a chair, and then stood up. But he did it so slowly, it looked like he'd shit his pants. He's been doing it for yonks. And why is it now suddenly that they're admitting it? So it smells very much of a plan. Very much of a plan. Why would I say that? Because they've always got a plan. They've got plans that have spanned hundreds, if not thousands of years. That's what they do. So we should never think, oh, wonderful, yeah, Biden's shown himself for what he really is. It's great, finally people are seeing it. No, it was all just an arranged thing. And the media doesn't turn on anybody until it's told to turn on somebody. The media does exactly what the fuck it's told to do. And so if the media is saying this is bad, then it's because they're told to say this is bad. They don't have a cognitive thinking process. They just follow orders. So, something big is coming. If it's aliens, I'm going to laugh my tits off. I really am. And it might be bad, but I'm still going to laugh my tits off. Because we've been talking about this for yonks, haven't we? For yonks. It's been on the Illuminati cards for a long time. Yeah, the alien invasion. However, what the emissary said was this. They said that the biggest weapon that we have, weapon of mass destruction, the biggest weapon that we've got is ridicule. The biggest weapon that we've got is actually mocking them. And they explained why. Okay, and we've talked about during the pandemic. It was memes everywhere. Memes destroyed that. They said, when we mock, when we ridicule, what we're doing is we're actually taking energy away from them. When we're angry at them, when we scream at them, when we call them names, we're giving them energy. They like that because anger comes from a level of fear. When we mock, that comes from a very different place. It's a very different energy, and it actually reduces their capacity. When we mock, when we laugh, when we joke, because that comes from a place of a different kind of vibe, doesn't it? And I know it's like sarcastic, it's the lowest form of wit, but it's still wit. I know with Cynthia and I, when we're with, for example, other people, and we see something, their TV's on and they say something ridiculous, we make jokes about it now. We ridicule them and we laugh. And for example, here in Spain, they keep, would you believe, they did exactly the same. Here in Spain, they said that the May month was the hottest on record, just like they did in the UK. And it was friggin' freezing. It was freezing. It's not even properly hot yet. And we're just about in July, and it's not even properly hot. The weather's shit. Why? Because they're giving it this upstairs. And that's another thing that I don't understand. Why is it that they're making the weather colder by this, and yet they say the weather's hot? Is it the 1984 scenario where they're trying to teach people not to believe what they see with their own eyes and only to believe what they're told? Could be part of that MK Ultra kind of thing going on. Who knows? Getting back to ridiculing. So we were watching a woman, like a political leader. They're all stupid. Political leader, and she was talking about the change of the climate. Right? In Spanish, it's called el cambio climático. Right? So the change climate. But she said el clima climático. Okay? El clima climático, which would be the climate. That's what she said. And so we laugh at that and we bring it up. And if they're ever on the TV talking about it, I was there with my in-laws and the weather forecast was on. And bear in mind, it's shit weather for the end of June going into July. Normally the house is an oven by now. But no, it's not. Hence the fact I've got a waistcoat on. Never before has it been known. All right, it's not waistcoat weather, but we went out this morning and it was. And yet, when the woman did the weather forecast, they've got anything over 30. 30 is red, right? And so they had the weather forecast and the map was red and it was 30, 23, you know, it's shit, for this time of year, shit degrees. And I said, red, it's red at 30 degrees. Where'd you go from there? Where'd you go? And my father-in-law went, because look. And basically it goes red from 30 and then 35 is like dark red and then 40 is black. 20 years ago, I came to Spain one of the first few times with Cynthia and with a friend, and we were in Alcalá de Henares, right? Town close to here. It was summer, it was July. We went back to the car and on the temperature gauge it said 50 degrees. 20 years ago, by the way. 50 degrees. Now, that was because it was in the sun. Okay? But I've never seen that since. I've never seen 50 degrees marked on a car. And that's because the weather, it's definitely colder. It's definitely getting colder. Last summer was very poor. This summer's proving to be the same. In the UK, we don't even want to talk about it. It's a non-summer. And yet they keep telling us that this is the hottest one on record. So we laugh. We laugh at it. And that's what the emissary said, is our power is to ridicule. It's just to make fun of them. They don't like it. They have the biggest egos ever. They believe themselves to be rulers of the world. And I'm saying they, and we know who these they are. Doesn't matter what dimension they're in, they believe themselves to be the rulers of this world. Why? Don't know. Because up to now, that's what they have been. And yet, if we laugh at them, we take away their power. So I think it's important that we start keeping it light, keep it bright, keep it hilarious, and make fun of them, because that's all they deserve. And that's the way that we can win this battle of God knows what, is by laughing. And if the aliens do invade, even if they're chopping my head off, I'm going to be laughing internally. It'll be an internal giggle as my head goes whizzing off to another part of the room. Because that's ridiculous. And it's worthy of a good belly laugh. Anyway, I love you all and I'll speak to you all later. Bye-bye.